So then is there a way to get into the operating system and begin to rewrite a program, to begin to write a code and rehearse a new way of being and begin to install new neurological hardware? And with practice and repetition, that hardware becomes a software program, and all of a sudden we start seeing very significant biological changes. So in the last 5 to 10 years or so, I've assembled a team of researchers and scientists and to really demystify the process, that to prove to people that they're not hardwired to be a certain way for the rest of their lives, or they're not doomed by their genes, that in fact that we are marvels of adaptability and change. So then after 10 years of research, we came down to a very clear understanding what to do and why to do it. And I think if you understand the what and the why, the how gets easier. And I think science has become kind of the contemporary language of mysticism. I think science is what demystifies the mystical. And if you start talking tradition or culture, or you start talking religion, you're going to divide a community. And yet, when you give people the right kind of information, and they can repeat it and understand it and set up the conditions and the environment for them to actually practice, and they understand that it's a formula, no different than a golf swing or dancing the salsa or learning how to cook Indonesian cuisine. It just takes practice. So we have a team of neuroscientists and geneticists, and we have a team of biologists. We partner with University of California, San Diego, and their research team there, and we're measuring biological changes to see, once you get beyond educated mind and you become conscious and you begin to interact with that intelligence, that innate intelligence, and give it a plan, a template, and then surrender and get out of the way and allow that autonomic nervous system begin to function, we have seen dramatic changes in autonomic function. We're talking about significant changes in stage 4 cancers or MS or lupus. There's a dramatic change. And the premise is really simple. And that is, your personality creates your personal reality. That's it. Yeah. And your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. So the present personality who's listening to this show has created the present personal reality called their life. Well, it makes sense. If you want to create a new life, you want to create a new personal reality, that means you got to change your personality. And I think most people try to create a new personal reality without changing who they are. Exactly. And so then what is the formula to become conscious of your unconscious thoughts? To notice how you act, how you speak, how you behave, to pay attention to how you're feeling. And the act of observing those states of mind and body, Dr. Ron, means you're no longer the program, because when you're the program, you're unconscious. So the first step to change is becoming conscious of that unconscious process. Turns out the word meditation literally means to become familiar with. Now, that's lighting a match in a dark place, and that means then when you sit down to create something new in your life, you're going to come up against all the things that have to change in order for you to arrive there. So that lighting that match in the dark place is all of a sudden coming up against thoughts like, I can't, it's too hard, I'll never change, it's my ex's fault, or, you complain, you blame, you make excuses, you feel sorry for yourself. These are all unconscious programs. You live for 20 years of feeling guilt, but you don't know it's guilt because you feel that way for the last 20 years.
It becomes normal.
It becomes normal, right?
you.
So then the premise is then once you become conscious of those unconscious states of mind and body, so conscious and so familiar with them, you wouldn't go unconscious of them in your waking day. Now you're out of the bleachers and you're on the playing field. So then the next fundamental question is, if meditation is to become familiar with, what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain? And if I pay attention and I have intention, our research shows you begin to install new circuits in your brain. Keep repeating it, keep firing and wiring, and that hardware becomes a software program, and all of a sudden you hear the thought in your head that says you can. Anything's possible. There's nothing magical there. You installed the circuitry. So then if you could close your eyes and say, who do I want to be when I open my eyes, when I start my day? What behaviors do I want to demonstrate? The act of mentally rehearsing who you want to be and going through the actions in your mind, when you're truly present and truly focused, the brain doesn't know the difference between the real life experience and what you're imagining. So then you install more neurological circuits in your brain, because typically the neocortex is a record of the past. Now you're priming the brain to the future. If you keep repeating it, the hardware, by firing and wiring, becomes a software program, and all of a sudden you start behaving like a happy person. Well, there's no magic there. You actually prime the brain for those behaviors. And now here's the tough part. Can you teach your body emotionally what that wonderful practice, what that wonderful life, what that wonderful future could be like, and not wait for the event to happen so that you can feel joy or feel freedom or feel love or abundant? That's the old model of reality, of waiting for something outside of us to finally change, to take away our emptiness or lack. The deal is that when you begin to condition your body emotionally into the future, now you're no longer living by cause and effect. You begin to cause an effect. And so when people trade limited emotions like fear or anxiety or frustration or resentment for elevated emotions like gratitude and freedom, it's that heart-centered state that begins to cause the body to literally emit information and energy. And that energetic release we have measured begins to cause the brain to begin to change, and it gets more creative. And so people then, when they truly change how they think, how they act, and how they feel, and they become so familiar with those thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that they begin to create a new personality, well, then it makes sense. Then if they're diseased, the disease exists in the old personality.
That's right.
They're literally somebody else. They're not visualizing anything going away. They're understanding that the stronger the emotion they feel, the more they're upregulating genes. Well, why? Because it says the environment signals the gene. Everybody understands that. But the end product of an experience in the environment is an emotion. So if you're living by the same emotions every single day, your body is so objective, it doesn't know the difference between the real life experience that's creating the emotion that you're fabricating by thought alone. So you're headed for a genetic destiny because the body's not getting any new information. Begin to have people understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, and they assign meaning to what they're doing. They start suppressing genes for MS, suppressing genes for leukemia, and start upregulating genes for health and immune regulation and IgA and all the wonderful antibodies that begin to restore and repair the body. And so we've seen dramatic changes. I can tell you right now that you can absolutely change the way your brain works. You could absolutely make your heart more balanced. You could lengthen your life. You could upregulate genes, 8 different genes that have to do with cancer suppression and tumor cell growth, to grow new neurons in your brain, to diminish oxidative stress, to stimulate stem cells to go to damaged tissues and repair them. And research shows that you can do that in 4 days. If I approached somebody listening to this show and I'd say, "What's wrong with you?" And, "Oh, I'm in a bad mood today." "Well, why are you in a bad mood?" "Well, because of my coworker, because of my staff, because of my stats, because of the news, because of my ex." What they're really saying is, unconsciously now in a program, that something outside of me, some person or circumstance, is controlling the way I feel and the way I think. And anything that's controlling the way you feel and think makes you victim to your environment. Now, that unconscious program then means that a person who's living by that every day will be more susceptible to any condition in their environment, because it's their response to the environment that is squandering the amount of energy they need to heal. So then in order for them to heal, then they have to turn the battleship around and say, "Well, wait a second. I could complain, that would be normal and natural. I have 1,000 reasons to be unhappy. But instead of allowing my environment to control how I think and feel, what if how I think and feel can produce an effect in my environment?" Now all of a sudden, the game changes, because you are going to inhibit those thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. And in the moment where, whether it's justified or valid or not, for you to be angry, frustrated, fearful, sad, pain, whatever, to no longer allow your environment to control it, and you begin to self-regulate, and that's adaptability. And we teach people that you could actually develop this skill. And when you do it properly, and you get back into that kind of heart and brain coherence, you save yourself from going unconscious for the remainder of the day and running some type of program. So it feels unnatural in the beginning, because basically, the hardest part about change is not making the same choice as you did before. And the moment you decide to make a different choice, buckle up, because it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel unfamiliar. You are going to leave known territory, and you're stepping into the unknown. Now, most people, their habituations and their conditioning of remembering something from the past, and that memory is just of thoughts of different people and circumstances, of different things at certain times and places, tattooed in the recesses of their gray matter. So the moment they think of their problems, they're thinking in the past. But every one of those past experiences has an emotion associated with it. So they start off in the morning thinking about their problems, and the moment they feel unhappy, now their body's in the past, because thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body. And it's that feeling then that drives their thoughts, that produces more of the feeling, and their state of being is literally in the past. So the moment you decide to make a different choice, you're stepping out of known territory, because that conditioning process is conditioning the body to subconsciously become the mind of that emotion. And now the body's literally in the past. So when you step out into the unknown, and now game is on, because you're going to hear the voices, and you're going to hear the chatter, and you're going to hear the sub-vocalizations for one reason, because the body emotionally is trying to convince you to think consistent with that emotion. So you make the same choice, you demonstrate the same behavior, you create the same experience to reaffirm that same emotion. Then people say, "Well, this feels right." No, that feels familiar. Yeah. So going from the old self to the new self, there is a neurological, biological, chemical, hormonal, genetic death of the old self. And crossing that river of change from the old self to the new self is what we admire about great people, whether it's Michael Jordan or William Wallace or Mahatma Gandhi or D.D. Palmer. I mean, they just took a chance in possibility. Some people would rather cling to suffering and to unhappiness than to take a chance in the unknown.
We are continuing with our daily practice of completing the inspiring quotes. In the previous video, we were looking for 2 words of Joe Dispenza's quote. The quote goes like this: "If you become aware of your automatic habits and you are conscious of your unconscious behaviors so you cannot go unconscious again, then you," the correct answer is, "are changing." So, if you become aware of your automatic habits and you are conscious of your unconscious behaviors so you cannot go unconscious again, then you are changing. Congratulations to everyone with the correct answer. This one wasn't so easy, but since I know you love Joe Dispenza, today's quote is also from Joe Dispenza. We are looking for two words, so the quote goes like this. If you want a new outcome, you will have to break the habit of... Write your answers in the comments below the video and tell me if you love this video and our way of ending the videos. If you like this video, give your thumbs up and share it with your friends. Even if you're not sure what the correct answer is, try and guess. The first one with the correct answer is the winner. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button and don't miss any of new videos and new challenges. If you found this video helpful, share it with your friends. Help me make it more popular. If you really like what we do here and want to support us, you can join our channel and our community for a symbolic fee and gain many other additional features. You can do that by clicking the join button next to the subscribe button, or you can click on the link in the description of this video. Stay good and have a great day!